Hi friend, David here from Learn Christmas Lighting, and today we are talking about, can you use animated lights from the hardware store? In this case, in my area, that may be Home Depot or Lowe's. For you, maybe Menards or maybe Walmart or Target. You might see animated lights in these stores and think, can I add these to my Christmas light display? Especially at the time of year after Christmas, people are hitting those sales, right? And a few days after Christmas, everything hits 90% off. And it's like, well, if I can get this thing for, cents on the dollar for 90% off, is it worth it to add it to my animated Christmas light display? It's a good question. Or maybe you're in this situation where you went out last year and you bought an animated Christmas tree. Okay, maybe something like this one right here, this 108-inch multicolored animated Christmas tree that I got on the screen. Okay, maybe you buy something like this and you say, can I get to this in X-Lights? Is there a way in X-Lights or Vixen to be able to use this light in my display? Okay, or the last option is maybe you went with something like Twinkly. If you're familiar with Twinkly, you bought some Twinkly lights and you say, okay, can I use this outside of the Twinkly app with something else? We're going to talk about all these today. So when it comes to adding lights that are from the hardware store into your display, there's really two facets, two sides of the coin to look at. The first is that, is it of quality where the thing's going to last more than a season or two? Most often with a lot of this stuff, just to quickly answer that point, if it's a Mr. Christmas brand or a Kringle Traditions or whatever this stuff is, basically everything except the Twinkly stuff, the quality on that, it tends to be subpar. It tends to be that this stuff just really is low quality, only lasts a year or two, doesn't look that great, and generally isn't worth what you pay for it versus buying pixel type products that we talk about here on this channel. Okay, so that's the first thing. You got to look at the build quality of this stuff. Every year I see people, hitting those after holiday specials going, oh yeah, I want to use these animated lights. They have these animated ones. Surely I could make it work in X-Lights. And even if you can get it to work, generally, it's just an inferior product to the stuff that we get from vendors in this hobby. Generally, it's a lower gauge wire, the lights aren't as bright, or they're smaller, or what have you, or they just don't last as long. And of course, if you need to repair them, you may or may not be able to in the future. So that's my first raining on your parade. Now, a couple things, if you are, actually, before we talk about Twinkly, if you are looking to buy stuff, in the sales or whatnot, you can turn with the Lightorama controller or the simple one that I built here. You can turn off, on and off regular AC type lights, right? Lights that just plug into the wall. They don't have any animation, etc. And what that could look like actually is like, sometimes you see, sometimes you see these little animated like snowflakes and stuff and whatnot, like this is a hanging snowflake, and sometimes they go from the center and they kind of have an animation to them, like they're an AC light, you just plug them in, but then they have a little microchip on them with an animation to them. And you're not going to be able to control the speed or that animation, but you can turn them on or off. And that's going to give you the ability with anything that turns on and off. You can turn them off with a simple controller, like I noted in that video I mentioned. And you can get on-off control. You can use that stuff in a musical display. Is it as versatile as a pixel? Well, of course not. But if you have it, you can use it, and it's not a problem at all. Okay? So let's talk about Twinkly for a minute. So I'm going to go into the basics of Twinkly here, and then next week I'm going to follow up with a video that talks about the various Twinkly products and how they interact and how they might be useful to you. So Twinkly is a company that basically makes animated Christmas lights that are really easy to use. Are you going to be able to get this to work in X-Lights? No. Now with the Twinkly Professional stuff, which you're not going to buy at Home Depot, you may be able to get Twinkly to work with your lights. But you can see here, like here is 400 Twinkly lights, about 20 feet, and it's $219 for this basically starter kit. And what Twinkly enables you to do, which is actually really cool, is you can actually put Twinkly on your tree. Okay, you just wrap it however the heck you want. You hold up your phone. It runs through a calibration process where it just turns every light on. You don't hold up your phone. Actually, you want to put it on a tripod or something so it's not moving. And it goes through. It finds where every light is and it maps it. Now, this can be done in X-Lights as well through Generate Custom Model, but it's worth noting that that's one thing Twinkly does, and it does easier than anything else. The pro grade stuff, like I mentioned, is set at some point this year to be able to be used within programs like X-Lights somehow. I don't fully understand how that's going to happen, but I've seen hints that that's going to happen online. I've seen people say, hey, and for next season that's going to happen. That would be this coming year. So my only caveat here is, okay, so you're talking about adding in these lights to an animated display. When it comes to it, Twinkly is probably not going to be your best bet, nor is anything else from the hardware store. But if you do have it, it can be a great way to get started. And if you have bought Twinkly stuff in the past, it's a cool way to use it somewhere. Like, they're cool. It's super easy to get in the app and just do some animations and sequence some stuff. And it's the lowest barrier to entry that I know of for making animated Christmas lights that actually do something cool, right? Where you have some control over what it does and you can choose how it works. As for the other stuff from the hardware store, I'm not against using AC lights and grabbing a Lightorama controller, buying a used one on eBay or whatever, and using them in your display. I use a little, in my display, but things like these animated snowflakes or a big string with a bunch of lights on it, it's easy to put out. You might already own it and you can make it flash to the beat. So why not? At the end of the day, like I mentioned though, if you truly want that full control over your Christmas light display, you want to watch things sweeping across your house and have full control over those animations, then using pixels that you don't get from the hardware store is definitely going to be your best bet. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe here and check out this video here that YouTube has picked out just for you because it thinks, hey, you'd love to see this from us. And we will see you guys in our next video. Have a great day.